Hello everyone, this is Leah Dixon in Port Coquitlam, British Columbia. I am here today for my regular Tuesday morning Facebook Live. So every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m.-ish Pacific Standard Time, you can find me here and I'll be creating something with you. Usually it's a card, sometimes we'll do a 3D project. And all this month it's going to, well, maybe not all this month, but for the next 2 weeks, it's going to be focusing on retiring product because we have had our Stampin' Up! Retiring list released. If you want to see all the details on that, you can actually head over to my blog at stampinwithleah.ca, and I have images and everything there of all the retiring product. Lots of sale prices too. The sale prices aren't reflected on my blog, but if you click any of the links, you'll see the sale prices. Yeah, so that's kind of what's happening in the Stampin' Up! World right now. We are retiring items to make space for new stuff, and yeah. Oh, good morning, Darlene. So basically, I'm going to be highlighting some of the stuff so that you can make sure to grab it before it's gone. All right, so hopefully you guys can still see my video. My screen is saying that you guys can't. Maybe Darlene, you can pop a message into the comments for me and let me know. I'm going to keep on trucking though and switch over my screen. There we go, to my desktop, and this is what we are going to be creating with today. So we've got the Wildly Happy stamp set. This $29, that is Canadian pricing. Hi Julie, nice to see you. And so that's what this costs in our annual catalog. I'm not sure if there's sale pricing on it or not. I'm really sorry guys, but if you click the links on my blog or on this post if you're watching in replay. Oh, perfect, Darlene, thanks. And then you'll be able to see if there's any sale pricing on it. And then I've kind of paired it up with some other interesting materials. So I've just got some black scraps here. Don't worry, that's not going anywhere. Neither is our Blushing Bride cardstock. But these other three items are retiring. So here I have one of the two Ornate ribbons. It's actually a combo pack. The Ornate ribbon comes in the Calypso Coral and where's my other one? There we go. And the Old Olive, and you get the two ribbons together. And these are on our retiring list, but they're just such lovely ribbons. I've got the largest circle from the Stitched Shaped dies here, and those also are retiring. I have them right here beside me to show you. So you get 4 concentric stitched ovals, circles, and squares. And so this is kind of like a Stamper's Basic, whether you're scrapbooking, creating cards, whatever, and these are retiring. So if you don't have them, I would highly recommend grabbing them. All right, and then the other piece that I have here is this designer series paper, and it actually comes from the Sweet Ice Cream, or the ice cream, like the whole suite that we have. What is this actually called? Ice Cream Corner, that's what it is. So this is the Ice Cream Corner designer series paper, and so it's fun, sprinkles and stripes and dots and cone stuff and ice cream splotches. And I've used this a ton for some ice cream cards. I'm now trying to start to design some ice cream cards without this paper, getting ready for it to be retired and not available. So I actually have an ice cream, sweet ice cream shop class today's the last day to register for it. I've put the link in the description here, and it's actually using your sweet ice cream stamp set without any of the DSP or retiring product that was paired up with it. So it's kind of a nice way to transition over to the new catalog, because that ice cream set is staying in the new catalog. This paper, however, is going. So I thought we would have some fun and use this a little bit to create a nice baby card. So actually, which way do I want those bigger blotches? I think we might actually keep them. Let's see. Let's see. No, let's put them over to that side. All right, so I've got my designer series paper here. I cut it at 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to start by tying a ribbon on here, but I'm not actually going to tie it on. So I've just got a few scraps left of my Calypso coral. I don't even have a whole roll of Calypso coral anymore. It's kind of sad. So this little scrap that I have here, I'm going to make the most of. So it's not quite enough to tie around this and tie a bow, so I'm actually going to cut it in half. I'm going to lay this where I want it on my card, and I'm going to flip this over. And now I can see where my ribbon's coming out the ends. I'm going to put a little strip of Seal Plus, oops, on each side. There we go. And with that little strip of Seal Plus, I'm now going to bend down one end, and then I'm just going to come back over here and make sure that this is straight before I bend over the other side. There we go. All right, so you can see there, I hope you can see there, that the ribbon is just stuck into those pieces of Seal Plus on the back. And now I have a really nice flat ribbon across the front of my card. I'm going to attach this to the front of my cardstock now. You can use Seal Plus to do that, or if you're like me and have some trouble lining things up, I'm just going to grab my liquid glue. I'm using the thicker end, getting a little dot on the tip there, and then spreading that dot across my DSP. Okay, so, and then another little dot and spread it down this side, and finally a little dot and spread it down this side. And by doing it this way, we end up with a very thin layer, so nothing's going to smush out the sides. I can just wipe off the extra in the center. And I'm also not using very much. I just used 3 dots of glue to glue up the whole back side of that. All right, so now you can use a bone folder if you want. I tend to just use my thumbnail and fold that cardstock over. And now we can line this up, and because we just put liquid glue on the back there, we have a little bit of wiggle room if we didn't get it down quite straight. Okay, so with that done, we're going to set that off to the side, and I have grabbed the cutest little bunny rabbits from inside this set, and we are going to ink them up with black Memento ink. All right, so here are my bunnies. I'm going to put them over quite far to the left and as centered top to bottom as I can. All right, now while I have those bunnies out, I'm actually going to grab an envelope. Actually, I'm going to grab 2 because when I was designing this card, I made one and I haven't actually decorated the envelope for that one either. So I'm going to do 2 quick stamps here, make some space so I don't get black ink on everything. I'm going to do 2 quick stamps here of this bunny right onto my envelope. I love having decorated envelopes. It just, I think, makes it so much more special when you're sending these out to somebody. Oh, hi, Catherine. All right, let's see here. Okay, so we've got those envelopes stamped. We can color those later if we want, but for now I'm just going to set them to the side and focus on creating the card. So to color these guys, I always love to use my light Flirty Flamingo. Actually, I'm going to use the paintbrush tip. And I just come in and do a little dot for their noses and a little bit of Flirty Flamingo, the light one, in their ears. There we go. Then, going to grab my dark crumb cake. You could, of course, leave these bunny rabbits white. I just, personally, I like them colored in a bit. So I'm going to come through here with my my dark crumb cake and just do all the little highlight areas that are already done up in black ink here on our stamped image. All right, there we go, down on that, and just a little bit in on the ears. There. All right, with that all colored in with the dark crumb cake, I'm now going to come in with light crumb cake and color our whole rabbit right over the nose that I did pink as well. The only thing I'm not coloring over is the eye. I want to keep that tiny speck of white that we have in there on both mama and baby. Okay, areas where I've done some darker bits with the dark crumb cake, I'm going to really work that and blend it. Right in here along that jawline, I'll just do a little bit of extra. I try not to do too much blending close to my edges, just so that the color doesn't bleed outside of the lines. And here again, I'm doing the crumb cake right over top of the Flirty Flamingo that I used before. We keep that pink shade, but it just tones it down a bit. And again, try and avoid the white space on that eye. You want to keep the eye white. Okay. So come back in and do some shading where we need it. I love coloring with the blends. They make it so easy to create some nice shadowy effects. And yeah, they're just no streaks. It's my favorite kind of coloring. All right, there we have it. We have our sweet little bunny rabbits all colored in on this card. Now we can, I'll just pull that up so you guys can see it a bit better. There we go. Now we're going to flip this over, and we're going to put some dimensionals on the back of this. Now I'm going to do them kind of in the corners, if you would imagine our circle as being a square. And that way, when I put this down, they're going to avoid being on top of my ribbon. All right, so peel off those 4 backings. There we have it. And I'm going to put this kind of just below center on my card. I'm wanting to leave enough space to do a bow at the top of this. And so that's where my other scrap of ribbon is going to come into play, is I'm now going to tuck this underneath, and I'm not even going to tie a knot or anything. I'm just going to make 2 bunny ears and wrap them around each other. And then I'm just going to finick with this and play around with it until I get bows that are the right size and shape for what I want. Some people like big floppy bows, some people like smaller, neater bows, so you get to decide how you like that. I like mine like that, and then I'm just going to trim up these ends. So although I do like a slightly longer end, I like my bows to stay on my card. I don't like them hanging off the edge. All right. So we've got our bow attached to the top there. And now we're going to add some sentiments to this card. So I've taken the So Tiny, So Small, So Loved by All. Because I don't know if you guys watched me the other week, I made a baby card using the kangaroo set. And it wasn't originally intended to be a baby card for my cousin and his wife when they had their little one. But since then, they've actually had the baby. And I found out that their little girl is a lovely, beautiful little baby girl named Harriet. And I don't know, this card just kind of screams to me, like these colors and the bunny rabbit and everything, that this is what I need to do for her, not an adorable little green kangaroo card. So we'll save that green kangaroo card for somebody else's baby. It's very sweet, but this just, I don't know, it called to me. So I'm going to do a little trick here, though, with my Versamark. I'm going to use these black strips to do our sentiment, but I'm going to put them like bit by bit. So I'm going to start by inking up the bottom sentiment, the So Loved by All. And so I'm coming in here with my Versamark and watching to see that it's only touching those words at the bottom. It's not inking up my So Tiny, So Small. Okay, so I've got those all nicely inked. I'm going to come down here to my larger piece and line that up and stamp that. Now this is a bit harder because this is rubber. It's not clear, so I can't see exactly where it's landing. I have a pretty good idea. All right, now I've been embossing all morning, so I've already got a big mess here. So I'm just going to bring my big mess over, and I'm just going to run this through my embossing powder. And, you know, it's like, yeah, it's a giant mess, and it's all good. What I'm going to do now is I always keep small paintbrushes around. I start by tapping the back with my small paintbrush, and you can see already that's knocked off a ton of that excess. And I just went and put it all back on. So just tapping the back of it with the handle of my small paintbrush to knock off a bunch. Okay, I also need to clean up my fingers because I just got a ton under my fingernail now. All right, so do a few more taps here. And then I'm going to come in with the very small end of my paintbrush. Just going to give that a little twist to make it really pointy. So you want like a super fine paintbrush, and you're going to come in here. You actually don't even need to wipe them off. You just need to touch them so that then they can be blown off. Okay? It just kind of releases the static cling from the paper. Now, we used to have a product, the Embossing Buddy. We don't have it anymore. And I should have used mine. But I wanted to show you guys, you know, if you don't have the Embossing Buddy because you haven't been stamping since the beginnings of time, like me, that there are other ways around this. Okay, so we're just using this fine paintbrush to just loosen up some of those extra bits around so we have a nice clear image. I don't know why those two don't want to move. Okay, and if you accidentally brush a bunch off of one of your letters, you just dip it back in and redo it, and then of course you're going to have to start over with brushing off the excess, but it's not, all is not lost if you accidentally brush some off of one of your letters. All right, so I'm going to actually do all of my embossing before I heat these. So the next step in this is to clean my stamp again. So somewhere on my desk, right there, I have my Simply Chamois. My Simply Chamois is, it looks a mess, but it actually does its job. It cleans that up perfectly. You can see there, nothing stamps, like we're done. It's all good. And now I'm going to come in and ink up just either my So Tiny with the 3 dots or my So Small. It's your choice. I'm going to end up doing both, but starting with just that. And now what's so great about this is if I accidentally ink up too much, when the embossing powder sticks to it, I just wipe it off. And it's clear ink, so it's not like I have some ugly, okay, now that stamped pretty low, but it's completely on, so I'm gonna go with it. All right. Now we're, oh, there it is. All right, so ink that up, or not ink it up, sorry. Put embossing powder on it. Okay, flip it over. Tap off our excess. Okay, now you can see here some of the So Small got some embossing powder on it. So this is the best kind of thing because you can literally just wipe the embossing powder away, and when it heats up, it won't heat those words. It's brilliant. Uh-oh. So there's what I was talking about. If you accidentally take off too much, you just go back in and put more embossing powder on there. All right, there we go. So that one's all done. So this is a little bit of slow and careful work that we have to do here, but it really doesn't take that long, and the effect at the end is always so stunning to me. Anytime you emboss in white on a darker paper, I think it just looks so beautiful. Oops, I've got a paintbrush stuck in my sleeve. All right, so now I'm going to do this So Small. Now I'm trying to not get that last dot, but I just might get it. And again, then I'll just wipe it away. I just won't let the embossing powder be there when I go to emboss. All right, so this is our last one with our Versamark. So I'm going to put the lid on there. And you can see I'm not rushing when I'm working with the Versamark. It doesn't dry very quickly. I'm not like in a crazy rush to get this stamped and get this embossed and everything. Okay, there we go. Oh, so I got a whole bunch of that. I thought I had only got the 1 dot, but apparently I got a ton of that. That's okay. So tiny. Take that away. I could even leave those dots there, but actually I think I'm going to remove them. just coming in here with our very fine paintbrush. I actually have a finer one that I usually use, but I couldn't find it this morning. Okay. There. All right, so now our 3 pieces are ready to be heat embossed. I'll put all that back into my jar later. I do keep my jars. Like I don't normally keep embossing powder out like that, but when I'm doing a whole bunch, I do. All right, and then we're just going to come in here with our heat tool and heat these up. Okay, so those are all heated up, and these were just paper scraps actually that I had. All right, while I was doing that, oh, hi Christina. Oh, thank you. I'm glad they're useful. So these were actually just paper scraps that I had. I think this is like, I don't know, maybe 1/4 of an inch, and this is like, I don't know, maybe just less than 1/2 of an inch. Just over 3/8 of an inch. So they were literally just scraps on my desk, and I just double checked that they would be wide enough for the print I was trying to add on. And that way they're really super small. So now the only snipping I need to do before I put these onto my card is I'm going to snip them so that they're a bit tinier. I'd kept them long because that gives you something to hold on to when you're embossing. If you just used exactly the size you needed, then your fingers might get into your embossing powder, or you could end up burning yourself as you're doing your heating. So now that I've got that done, I'm just going to come in here and snip off those ends. So I'm making tiny little word strips. So my card design today is actually inspired by the Global Design Project, and they had this lovely image of a circle with three strips coming out the side, and that was the sketch for this week. And I don't know, it really appealed to me, so that's what we are working with here. All right, so those bits done, we're going to attach these using mini glue dots and mini dimensionals. I'm going to start with the mini glue dots. And so on the end that's going to end up over on our circle, I've put a mini glue dot. And then on the back, I'm going to pop on a mini dimensional. There we go. Flip this over. And this little one is going to go underneath my bunnies. There we have it. All right. Now my so small. Now, because this one is so small, you may want to use black dimensionals. I think this is wide enough, though, at 1/4 of an inch. Yeah, it is wide enough to put a singular mini dimensional behind it, so I'm not going to bother with the black ones. But if you don't like having potentially a little bit of white showing through, then maybe you want to grab some black dimensionals and use that. All right, so our so small and now our so tiny. And I'm just kind of stacking them on top of each other, layering them up the side here. There we go. So yeah, anything less than 1/4 of an inch and you wouldn't actually be able to fit a mini dimensional behind here. All right, so tiny, so small, so loved by all. Oh, adorable. All right, now we have to embellish this. And I'm going to use another retiring embellishment. These are our Gold Glitter Enamel Dots. And I'm going to use my take your pick tool here to pull these off. You can see what happens if you don't. I left behind the gold part and the glitter part came off. So when you're doing this, I like to use the pokey end to loosen them off of my base, and then sometimes it sticks to the pokey end and you can actually pick it up that way and apply it to your apply it to your card like that. Sometimes it doesn't, especially I find with these little ones, they don't stick to the pointy end, and so then I come around to my little putty end and I can pick up, oops, it restuck itself. So I can loosen it. Oh, and it flipped itself over. Okay. So if it flips itself over, I use the pokey end to pick it up. If it's just being stubborn and rolling around, then I come in with my putty end. Nope, this putty is all dried up. So to get more, I just twist it a bit. I use my fingernail to pull off that dried up end. And now I'll loosen that, pick it up with my putty, and pop some in right there. So take your pick tool. It has other ends as well, like it has an attachment for being able to roll out like all the little itty bitty bits from detailed dies. It has a little spatula that I might end up having to use here because this one's being really stubborn. There we go. All right, and I'm just going to be pretty liberal here with my gold dots. Okay, there we go. All right, so I love this putty because it's got just enough grab that it'll pick it up, but then it also like is not so sticky that it won't release it once it's actually adhered itself to your cardstock. Oh, thank you, Julie. Yep. Aw. So that is my card for today. I'll just bring that up so you guys have a nice close-up view. So the fun ice cream background there just creates a really nice soft, like it's the Calypso Coral, the Blushing Bride, and this Crushed Curry, I think it is. But it's like watercolor, so it's all nice and soft. It just creates like a really nice soft background for all sorts of different occasions. And yeah, that is my card. So thank you so much for joining me today. I will be back live again actually this weekend. I have a free online workshop happening. I have another group and it's specifically for online workshops. The videos there tend to be once a month and much longer. I make a minimum of 3 cards during those videos, and it's like usually focusing on a whole collection or something. This Saturday I'm going to be featuring the Hello Dear Friend project kit. It's an all-inclusive kit, and then I'm going to be making some alternative cards using the stamp set that comes in that kit so that you kind of have some ideas of what to do with it once you've used up all the bits in the kit and you have your beautiful stamp set left. Oh, thank you, Julie. I know, I absolutely adore the ice cream paper. So yeah, you guys can catch me on my online workshop page. I can actually add the link into the comments here once this video is done. And otherwise, I'll be back here on my main page on Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Have a great week, everyone. Bye.